Hey, all you gorgeous souls out there. This whole Facebook Live is about for people who are wanting to birth ideas out there into the new world, yet their fears are confronting them and holding them back from being able to really get all of that juiciness out there into the world. And so I wanted to come in and share some beautiful a new level, a different perception to be able to help you be able to move through those fears, because fears are things that we set and hold in our consciousness and they stay in our logical mind. So therefore, then the information that comes up when we're birthing ideas and we're so excited, and then all of a sudden those fears jump in, we get stuck in our head and we limit the ability to be able to dive deeper into connecting in with our intuition. Hey Maria, how are you, honey? And so therefore I want to be able to share with you excuse me, how to stay more deeply connected to that intuitive part within your own self that is guiding you every single step of the way, but also how to validate those fears that are coming through, but then quieten the noise from those fears through being able to obtain a different perception, so that the mind quietens down, so that the volume of your intuition becomes louder. So I'd love to hear if this is all connecting with you. Hey Erica, hey Maria, how are you guys? I'm just going to quickly share this across to my page and then we're going to dive in. So I'd love to hear if any of you are out there and are at that point where you are wanting to share some beautifulness with the world, but there's just some sort of part of yourself that's holding you back at this point from being able to birth your beautiful ideas at this point. So the reason I'm sharing this is not only is it the most potent time to be able to do this, but we also have a gorgeous new moon on the 22nd of April, which will be Wednesday. And so therefore, when we can gain a new perception around our fears, that can also allow our dreams to get louder and our ability to manifest. So I'm going to run through this in two different components, one from that human logical part within our own self, but also therefore how to stay more directly connected to that communication coming through with your intuition, and how to strengthen that when you are wanting to birth your beautiful ideas out into the world. And this is on every level. It's, if you're wanting to share through this Facebook Live, I'm going to use the example of people that are wanting to share their intuitive gifts. And you can use that as a reference point for whatever is going on within your world, okay? I always just find it's easier if you have a reference point to be able to work from. So say, for example, that you're wanting to be able to either learn more about your intuition, or you're at the stage where you want to be able to, you've done some learning and you're at a point where you would love to be able to share it with people, but you're getting all of these really cool ideas, your intuition's coming in, it's stirring within you that, hey, get it out there into the world. And the more that you think about it, the more you're starting to, in a way, starting to become frozen by fear. What happens is that there are, I feel like there are two components in this equation. One, we forget that that with fears and tuning into our intuition, one is certain and one is uncertain, and we flip those around and use those in the wrong devices. We start to make our fears become certain and our intuitive guidance uncertain. And whenever we feel uncertain about something, we're certainly not going to continue pursuing that. And we put all of our certainty into fears, because we can usually always recall something back in our memory bank that has let us, or reveals to us, that when we've attempted to show up and shine or follow our dreams, something hasn't gone to plan, and therefore they haven't turned out the way that you wanted. And our mind can always recall back to that, because that is what our memory is designed for, is to go back to certain times of our life to use them as reference points. But when you're using your intuition, and you are listening to the fears being so much more certain, and the uncertainty becomes in your intuition, your certainty within fears can start to leak into your intuition and start breeding a whole new life of going, maybe my intuition isn't correct. Maybe something isn't, maybe I'm just reading into this. Maybe I'm wanting it more and it's not actually my intuition that's connecting with me. And we feed those fears into that uncertainty of our intuition, rather than flipping it around and going, the certainty is my intuition is always on point because it is a direct connection to my soul, and my soul has a much higher reference point and higher expansion of being able to understand what my soul's purpose is. And therefore we need to be able to flip that around so that our intuition, and then find those reference points, use that beautiful mind of yours to have reference points where you have gone back and you followed your intuition and it's been 100% correct. Hey Corey, hey Jean-Marie, how are you guys? And use that. So we need to be able to flip our certainty with uncertainty within that, within our fears and our intuitive guidance. And therefore, when we flip that around, we then need to stack up more levels of certainty with our intuition so that it becomes a stronger vibration, a deeper connection to that soul's truth, a deeper connection to the evidence that your mind is looking to connect with at this point, to follow the validation that your intuitive guidance is working behind the scenes to make sure that you are following your purpose and your passion and birthing all of your beautiful ideas out into the world. And how you do that is through your spiritual practices. For me, it is through oracle cards, and so I'm going to use that. So when you are looking at that intuitive guidance and you're wanting to stack up that information, hey Bhavana, hey, how are you, gorgeous? Therefore, you can go in and look at the certainty of, I am certain that I have this fear. Bring in your oracle cards. And I'll just share with you how and what I do if a fear or a limitation comes up, is I'll recognize what that fear or uncertainty is. So I'll just use the example of fear of failure. I would say I would tap on my cards to clear them, and as I shuffle them, I would ask my soul, how do I clear that fear around failure? And I'll just keep shuffling until I felt connected to stop, and I would pull out a card and I would see what the significance of how is it that I can work through. What's the message coming through with the card that will give me even more intuitive guidance coming directly from my soul to help me work through my fear of failure. Now, as you can see the card of, oh, it's got a bit of a glare. This is the card of abundance. So how I would read this is I would go, I have an abundance of skills. I have an abundance of knowledge. I have an abundance of deep connections with my soul. I also have an abundance of tools on how I can clear this fear of failure that I can use as evidence to bring back that is 100% certain, true, and tried and tested, that I've done before and worked for me before. So this is where you've got to be flexible when looking at your cards, because most people would go, oh, abundance, it would be about money. And obviously there is that element, because it would be, well, once you've cleared that, you become more of a channel to be open and receptive to receive more abundance in a wealth format. Hey, Suzanne, how are you, honey? So introduce your oracle cards, or if you use tarot cards, to be able to move outside of that busy fear-based thought processes that's holding you back from birthing your beautiful ideas, and introduce a tried and tested source that is going to help you be able to look at what are your fears and how to be able to work through them. And therefore you are giving more permission to create even more certainty when dealing with your intuition, because you are introducing something, because most people will consider that our intuition is an intangible thing. It's not something that we can touch, as per se. We can't see it, we can't feel it like a hug, although it does have all of those things. But when we're working from fear, it's not something that we can touch. So bringing in oracle cards turns your intuition from an intangible bit of information into tangible, direct communication with your soul. So it brings in even more certainty. So as I said before, it's about stacking the levels of certainty onto your intuition and removing that from the certainty that you were stacking with your fears. And this is how we can keep this gorgeous communication and building a stronger relationship with our oracle cards and with our intuition, with our soul, and with the universe, through recognizing that fears are always going to be there. Hey Stormy, hey Matthew, how are you guys? Fears are always going to be there, and this is the next thing that I want to share with you around what happens when we have our fears. As I said, there's usually two areas that I feel like if you really strengthen them, they help you develop a stronger and new perception, which therefore helps quieten that noise down in your mind and flip that level of having more strength within your intuition and not your fears. The other is recognizing that when you want to birth ideas, that you are going to be a student and a teacher all at the one time. And what I mean by that is, again, using that reference point about wanting to birth your spiritual gifts. Your spiritual gifts are something that you've usually invested time and energy into, and you know it pretty well, and you know that your intuition works, and you feel awesome, and you know that you want to transform people's lives, again, stacking all that certainty. And then when it comes to actually looking at how do I birth this and how do I actually go out there and help people, this is where we've got to be able to recognize that you therefore become the student. You're the teacher in the part that you know your skill, you know what you want to share, you know what your passion and what your purpose is, and they're all the teacher side of you. But the student part of you is you are going to have to learn a whole new lot of skills. You are going to probably have to learn some form of technology. You're going to learn how to deliver it, how to present it, how to overcome your fears, to share that with the world. You're going to be the student in looking at, well, how do I turn these ideas into, if you're wanting to turn it into a business, how do I turn that into a business? What are the steps and the structural things that I need to create a solid foundation if I want it to be a business? So we need to be able to understand that we are operating from both the teacher and the student at all of the times. And these are the areas that remind us to stay humble, to stay grounded, to allow our certainty and uncertainty to go, okay, well, when I'm in the teacher mode, I'm certain of my gifts. I'm certain of my skills. I'm certain that I am going to be able to transform lives. But the uncertainty is all of those other factors that you don't know how it's going to unfold. And this is where our fears start leaking in. And it's only because, therefore, it moves into the unknown, and our brain is naturally wired to consider the worst case possibility. And this is where, when we can recognize that that is what is operating and occurring within you, we can stop that cycle and that process continuing to feed and fester. So I really hope that this is connecting with everyone, or whether you're all just sitting there taking on all of this information right at this time. If you have any question, I would love for you to just drop them into the comments box, because I'm so passionate about helping each and every one of you to be able to birth your beautiful spiritual gifts out into the world at this point. So that's why I really want to be able to help each and every one of you as much as possible. So if you have any questions, throw them into the comments area. So thank you for the gorgeous hearts. So I'm going to continue on. In the student zone, there are going to be so many factors that you hadn't probably considered before, because when we start thinking about birthing ideas and all of that juicy, intuitive information floats into us, we get into this gorgeous bubble of it just feels so beautiful, and it feels awesome, and it inspires you, and it motivates you, and you're just like, yeah, I want to live my passion and purpose. This is what I want to do. But then the first little roadblock that happens, you go, oh, actually, I don't know if I really want to do this. Recognizing when you are at that moment when you want to bring your spiritual gifts into the world to help transform people's lives, your clients and the people that you want to transform the lives are not sitting at your doorstep waiting to bang on your door to say, hey, here I am and I am ready. Share with me your wealth of wisdom. You're going to have to be able to formulate some beautiful way and to be able to get it out there into the world. And that is where you've got to become the student. So that's the point where you need to be explorative and creative and fun and follow the pathways that other people have done, so that you're not trying to create a new pathway when there's already a pathway there created for you. And understanding that the reason that there is a feeling of uncertainty, the reason that there is a feeling of fear, the reason you have a feeling of the unknown, the intangible, is because you've never done it before. And whenever you are learning new skills, it is always scary as shit the very first time you do it. And in some cases, many times along before it starts to feel comfortable. But as humans, we don't like to feel uncomfortable. So the moment that we hit a wall that makes us feel uncertain and uncomfortable, we shrink and hide away from the very thing that we need to be able to overcome in order to reach that overall goal, which is share your gorgeous gift with the world. So just as a little bit of a story, like, and the reason I share this so passionately is that, and you will probably all get a giggle, when I first closed up my hands-on business, so I was a remedial massage therapist, I was a teacher of deep tissue at a massage school, I did soul mentoring and coaching, I did readings, I did healings, I did a ton of things. Now that was my, what do you call it? That was a business that I had built. So what do you call it? Well, it's like a storefront. So it was a location-based business. Then when I decided to close that up and become online, in my head, it was just this beautiful story of it's just going to be this gorgeous transition. It's going to be so easy. And I'm grateful that in a way that I allowed myself to feel into that, because to be honest, if I knew every single step, I probably would have talked myself out of doing some of them, because I would have looked at all the things that I didn't do. So this is why I'm sharing this information with you, because these are real, and it doesn't matter all of the people that you look at that may be 10 steps ahead of you, they have all gone through what it is that I am sharing with you. So I had to invest a lot of time and money into learn about the technology, because believe you me, I knew how to turn on a computer and write a letter on a Word document, and I'd normally have to get my daughter to check it to make sure that it was formatted right. That was the extent of it. And every time I would do a Facebook Live, or every time I would put a post out, or every time I put a picture out or something, I would so overthink it, and I'd be so nervous, and I'd be worried about people judging, coming across as silly. Do I have the camera right? Do I look pretty? You know, you just get into this total head funk, and you forget what it is that is your driving force, which is your passion and purpose. And through doing new things, there is always going to be a level of uncomfortability, but the more you do it, the better you get at it, and therefore those levels of uncomfortability start to lessen, and you become stronger and stronger at it. But then you will always have moments. I will still have moments today when I will do a Facebook Live that I will, all of the moment, I'll just, like, fear will just overcome me. I'll be like, shit, like, and lose myself while I'm doing the Facebook Live, and be having this internal conversation going on in my head about, like, get your shit together, like, focus on what you're doing. It's okay. It's normal to feel uncomfortable. Focus on what you're doing, and bring myself back out of that fear and bring myself out. So it's things that people that don't always see, but they are still relevant. And I'm still learning new things about technology and learning things on how to deliver my content, that I still am confronted with fear on different ways. I've just learned how to work with that fear rather than hold it back. And I want you to know that each and every one of you can do what I have done. Each and every one of you can get those ideas out. Every one of you, the reason that your soul is bringing this into your awareness, whatever it is that you want to birth, is because it is part of your master blueprint plan of what you were put on this earth to do. So please do not let your fears hold you back, because your intuition is guiding you every single step of the way. So I'm just going to read this gorgeous comment. Thank you for your knowledge. Ah, that is so awesome, Jean-Marie. I'm so pleased that you used your intuition to avoid a big fall from a height of a lot of boxes the other day. And this is how our intuition is working with us in every single area of our life. I love hearing those stories. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. That's all the time for you, Erica. Can you just reiterate that you're always finding that your fears are holding you back from being able to share your gorgeous gift with the world. Is that what you mean by that comment, love? I just want to make sure that I'm on, that I understand the comment, So, but it's as I was going back to it, even when those fears come up, and I'm working on something new, I will still draw my cards out and ask, what is it? And some of the questions that I use is, what is my lesson about this fear? How can I break through that? And where do I need to focus my energy on? Because when we move into fear-based thoughts, the biggest thing that happens within us is that we become scattered. When we're working with intuition and we feel really solid in our my self-conversation driving me forward, so your fears around self-conversations of driving yourself forward, is that correct, Erica? I just want to make sure that the conversation that you're saying is based on fear and not the intuitive part, so that I don't go on a spiel that's not congruent with the question, that the comment that you've written. And what happens is, as I was saying, is that when we are sitting in that gorgeous bubble of thinking about birthing and using our intuition, we sit in this gorgeous bubble and we feel really certain, and we feel aligned, and we feel in flow, and we feel deeply connected to source and our soul. And it feels beautiful. And we are united as one. Your mind, body, soul, and spirit are one entity. But when we work from fear, we become scattered. And parts of our self start going off into the ether. It starts connecting to old memories. It starts connecting to the shitty self-beliefs. It starts connecting to old experiences that have happened, every doubt, every fear, every problem, until we have talked ourselves out of what we want. And that's only because we have become scattered. The reason I talk so deeply and so passionately about intuition is about the connection back to soul and source, which is you. You are soul, and you are the source of divine information that is floating through you, around you, and in you. And that is available to you if you allow yourself to connect into it. When we connect into fear, we are connecting into not only our own emotional baggage and crap and fear and shit, and they're real, don't get me wrong. Every single one of us has real fear. So I don't want you to dismiss that I'm thinking that they're just this stuff that's not relevant. They're very real. Every single one of us can find some form of evidence within our memory about somewhere where you have failed, and your fear will go directly to that. And therefore what happens is, you have put that out into your auric field. You start attracting more information that is confirming that fear. So instead of it just being something that is within you, it is now external within your auric field, and that is the vibrational frequency that you have become attuned to. Now, using that same beautiful reference point, when you are in flow, when you're aligned, when you're connected to your intuition, you're using your oracle cards to help guide you to move through those fears. You're using those oracle cards to get more clarity on the beautiful vision of what birthing those ideas. You therefore collect evidence. Again, using that same process. This is where we need to be able to understand we have processes that we replicate for both a negative and a positive. But we forget that that negativity we can also use back into our positivity. So again, using the same as what I was saying about being scattered and tuning into that, we can use that same philosophy and that same process of stay aligned with your intuition. Keep mind, body, soul, and spirit connected to soul and source. Therefore, you amplify that out into your auric field. Guess what? You're tuning into that gorgeous frequency that is available to you to receive even more gorgeous information, building even more strength, building even more certainty, and taking you from the student into the teacher. And therefore you can, even in those moments when you need to develop new skills, you can use that teacher part within your own self, which is your intuition, your gift, your skill that you have, your talent, and bring that forward into those areas that require that. So the moment you need to do something that has fear attached to it, the unknown, because you've never done it before, bring forward the certainty that your soul will always provide you with the wisdom and the guidance that you need to be able to move through that obstacle and express gratitude and thanks for the gift that's been shared to you to help you strengthen an area so that you can continue on your pathway. Most people will tend to think that when they follow their dreams that it's always this gorgeous little bubble of beautifulness, and forget that evolution of growth is always going to be a part of the process. And we learn through growth. So those areas where we're fear-based is our area to improve more evolution within ourselves, to understand ourselves on a deeper level, to gain access to skills that we may have forgotten, and to be reminded to stay humble that you are always a student, but you can use that teacher element within yourself to support the student in you as you move through those steps that feel scary. And they never go away, because whilst you are continuing to evolve, there will always be moments in your life where you are new. Even when you're a parent, let me share with you how this works as a parent. This is just a totally random idea that's dropped into my head, just so that I can give a really easy reference point. When you're a parent, all of a sudden you've got this newborn baby and you have no idea what to do with it. We think we know what we have to do, and then unless your baby cooperates and does everything that you hope and wish it to do, you have the unknown. Then a month or so, you get into the vibe, you've got your baby in this beautiful little routine, you feel good about yourself, you move into the certainty. Then all of a sudden your baby grows teeth and the passion breaks, and you have to adapt and change, and you move into the uncertainty. You don't know what's going to happen to soothe that child, because even though there's Bonjela, there's this and that, you don't know what's going to be the one thing that works for your child. And so you do all of those kind of things, and then all of a sudden it goes through that teething phase and you move back into the certainty of it. And then all of a sudden your child is now at the crawling stage, and it is crawling around the whole house. Uncertainty. I've had shit lying around at a low level that I now need to move up. I need to make sure they can't get out. I need to make sure that I've got my eye on them all the time, because they could freaking disappear in a split second. Move into uncertainty again. Even as a parent, we're always working through the student and the teacher and the uncertainty and certainty all at the same time. But the one thing is, you don't just give up because the shit gets hard. So whether you're a parent of an actual child or whether you're a parent of fur babies, there's always those two levels that are always operating within you. But it's a matter of which one are you going to walk away from your dreams and just go, it was a little bit difficult or it was a little bit hard? Because remember, you will always know whether you have decided that shit got a little bit hard and you walked away. You won't be able to deny that within your own self. So if you're sitting here listening to this, there's a part that's in your soul that brought you here to remind you, don't give up. It's okay that stuff gets hard, but that is where you fall back into the student. Be okay with that. You are always going to be the student and the teacher all at the same time, and that is designed because as humans, we are here put on this earth designed for evolution of growth, and that is a continual cycle that will happen throughout your whole entire lifetime. And this is how, through those two beautiful processes, how you can move through those fears and dive deeper into being more deeply connected to soul and source, which is you, within you. Allow yourself to be in a gorgeous state of receptivity of keeping yourself mind, body, and soul and spirit all aligned, so that you become that frequency to attune and receive. Because when you are staying in that mind, body, soul attunement and working with your intuition and pulling out your oracle cards to strengthen that intuition, what happens is you start recognizing maybe the support or the help that you need, and you're like, oh shit, this is my obstacle, or this is my problem. God, what do I, and you say to yourself, which most people are unaware, you'll say to yourself, oh my God, I need to be able to learn this, or I need to be able to do this in order to be able to learn that step and move forward onto the next action that I want to take. You have just said a command to your soul, into the universe. When you're aligned with self, you send off that command out into the universe, and then boom, all of a sudden, the right person appears that can help you. The right resource shows up on your Facebook, or someone talks to you about it. And all of a sudden, whatever it is that you're working on right at that moment has been delivered directly to you, because you sent it out into the world from a space of alignment of mind, body, soul, and spirit, not from fear. Okay? And this is how we can build more strength using our intuition. This is how we get our ideas and birth them out. This is how we share our gorgeous gifts while still being so directly connected to the most potent source of divine wisdom. And I know the word divine makes it sound like it's a mystical thing, but intuition is not mystical. It is very much science-based. Our body operates on a cellular level, and that's all you're doing through using your intuition is building more strength within cells within your body to build more confirmation points that your intuition is working with you through dropping information in. The cells inside your body start communicating, and this is how we raise our vibration and tune into the frequency that we want to stay more connected. So it's not just some woo-woo thing. It is something that works on a human, scientific, anatomical, very, very logical, science-based process. So I'm so pleased that this has been really, really helpful for you, Stormy. I'll get that out. Stormy and Erica, I really appreciate that. And I am so pleased that this will give you some really solid ways in which to be able to get your gorgeous ideas out into this world. Remember, if your soul is communicating to you that birthing these ideas is the right time for you, it is the right time. Just remember, the human part in ourselves sometimes wants us to have all of our ducks in a row and for it to be the perfect time. Intuition goes, it's the perfect time now because you're open and you're ready and you are strong enough to confront this. You are strong enough to move through this. You will receive all of the guidance that you need, and you have an abundance of time to be able to sit down and allow these gorgeous gifts to find a beautiful way to reach the new world and transform the lives of all the people that you know that you're put on this earth to do. And that will also transform your life, because you will go through the biggest evolution of growth through every single obstacle, through every single fear. That's where your level of evolution is, because every time you overcome them, that becomes more of a confirmation that you are strong and that you are courageous and that you're not going to give up on your dreams. So much love to you all. Please take care and feel free to share and keep sharing all of your gorgeous magic with the world out there. The world is ready and waiting for you. So take care, guys.